got the call for this one. He was part of a Rangers team looking to preserve a 6-month unbeaten league run, while Dundee went out in search of their first home point of the season. The commentator is Rob McLean.
After the 2-0 defeat of Kilmarnock at Rugby Park last Saturday, Jockey Scott picks the same 11 players. Willie Miller is still injured. James Grady stays on the bench. Dundee line up with 3 central defenders, Barry Smith sweeping behind Stephen Tweed and 19-year-old Lee Wilkie. Belgian Frank van Eyss will patrol the right touchline. Eddie Anand and Willie Faulkner go for goals. In Gavin Rae, Dundee have one of Scottish football's most promising players. The 21-year-old midfielder has improved by leaps and bounds. Rangers have to make 2 changes because Neil McCann has joined Claudio Reyna on the injured list. Andrei Kanchelskis and Champions League hero George Alberts are the replacements. Again, Scotland skipper Colin Hendry wasn't even in the squad. Dig Advocat's team isn't too badly weakened when you cast your eyes over this lineup. Alberts starts for only the 6th time this season. Kanchelskis has been in the starting lineup only twice up till now. Birthday boy Rod Wallace is making up for lost time after an injury absence from the team. He's 30 today and looking to add to his 3 goals so far this season. The referee for Dundee against Rangers is Stuart Dougal. Rangers start the match, and the matches keep on coming for last season's treble winners. This number 15 of the season for them, and we've just entered October. They've lost only 2 so far, in Valencia and in Parma, a match which sealed their place in the Champions League. There was a draw with Bayern Munich 10 days ago at Ibrox. Other than that, they've won the lot. First touch for Alberts. Given away. Eddie Anand in towards Willie Faulkner. Craig Moore clears. A flick from Van Bronckhorst. Alberts rolls it into the space. Comes straight back to him. Goes to Perini. Wallace. Now Kanchelskis. Onto the left foot. Tried to play a 1-2 with Albert. Failed to come off. Ferguson for Rod Wallace. He's onside. The cutback deflected and turned away by Stephen Tweed. Dundee looking bemused as to how they allowed Rod Wallace to escape here. Long ball from Ferguson, and Wallace clearly had timed the run perfectly. Amoruso's header picked up by Boyack. The interception was by Arthur Newman. Andrei Kanchelskis leaves it to Barry Ferguson, only just. Rod Wallace has peeled away. Kanchelskis, Moles and Alberts in the middle. Barry Smith with the header. And now Barry Ferguson. Lots of room for Arthur Newman. Back from Moles. And Van Bronckhorst. Saved by Robert Douglas at the near post, and that was very definitely made in Holland after Barry Ferguson shifted the ball wide. Firstly, it was Newman, then Moles, and finally Van Bronckhorst with the shot. It's Giovanni Van Bronckhorst with the corner kick. Faulkner's header. Alberts trying to pick his way through. And Kanchelskis. Got good enough contact behind it. Alberts trying to find a way through. Ray was hurt in the challenge. And the loose ball whacked in by Kanchelskis. Alberts won the header. That was Barry Smith. from Arthur Newman. Craig Moore cleared it, feeling it wasn't going to find its way through to Charbonnier. Controlled and laid back by Anand. Ray to McSkimming. Anand's touch, no one there for it. Loose play by Moore, though, intercepted by Boyack. And Perini forced into conceding the corner kick. Dundee's first of the match, with 28 minutes gone. So a chance, the first of the match, for Dundee to put up Stephen Tweed. And the header was from Lee Wilkie, 6'4" of him. Won it well enough, but couldn't direct the header towards goal. Wilkie's header. Cushioned by Moore for Perini. Wallace hits the deck, no free kick. Forward from Gavin Ray. Amoruso's header, onto it, Boyack. Amoruso got it clear to Ferguson. Alberts, good skill. Ferguson for Kanchelskis. Chance for Andrei Kanchelskis. 29 minutes gone. Andrei Kanchelskis scores his first goal of the season. And much of the credit here goes to Barry Ferguson. The measured pass, he was telling Kanchelskis where he wanted him to go. And Kanchelskis slid the ball through the legs of Robert Douglas, who thought he was well positioned to block it. In it went. And Rangers have the lead. Ferguson the supplier, Kanchelskis the finisher. It's 1-0. The exchange between Ferguson and Van Bronckhorst. Alberts, Van Bronckhorst and Newman. Lovely sharp exchange, and Rod Wallace saved by Robert Douglas. That would have been some goal had Rod Wallace applied the finishing touch. Robert Douglas got himself in the way, and this was the end of a superb Rangers move. Douglas blocked the Wallace effort. But look at the sharp passing and movement here of the Rangers players. First time passes, perfectly played. And all that was missing was the Wallace finish. Out comes Charbonnier, and Amoruso got there first. Took the heat off his goalkeeper, and explaining now why he did it. In from Van Eyss. Willie Faulkner's header. Looking for another touch, which might have diverted it into the net. Nobody there. An easy header for Faulkner against Perini, but nobody there for Dundee to take advantage of the knockdown. Barry Ferguson's header, that was Lee Wilkie, and again after the whistle had gone. And Wilkie is in trouble here for the tackle on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. There's a melee of players in the centre circle. Nearly all 20 of the outfield players involved. Finally, Stuart Dougal has got things sorted out. Two Rangers players still grounded. Ferguson and Van Bronckhorst getting treatment, and it's a red card for Lee Wilkie. The teenage defender is sent off for that late and wild challenge on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Stuart Dougal surrounded by Dundee players protesting at Wilkie's dismissal. Well, here's the challenge. Firstly on Barry Ferguson, the foul was given there, and when Van Bronckhorst went to pick up the ball, Wilkie lashed out right under the nose of Stuart Dougal. But look at the feet of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He lashed out in response, and he too could be in trouble for his reaction to that Wilkie tackle. Stuart Dougal saw it all, He's booked James Grady for what he said after Wilkie was sent off, and now the referee looking around for Giovanni van Bronckhorst. It's another red card. He indicates to the Dutchman that it was what he did with his feet. That means he too is sent off, and over he goes to his assistant referee on the far side, Roddy Cobb, as he contemplates further action. A moment of drama in the last few minutes of the first half. Stuart Dougal might now reconsider. He's speaking to Arthur Newman now about something he's said. This looks fairly chaotic at the moment. Giovanni van Bronckhorst can't believe what's happening here. Dick Advocaat on the touchline is furious at what's going on. Arthur Newman gets a yellow card, and Van Bronckhorst is now heading towards the tunnel. Dick Advocaat being ushered away by Jim Herold, the fourth official. Advocaat is furious, and the indication there from Advocaat is that Stuart Dougal has lost the place. And there's the man who has taken centre stage, Stuart Dougal. Amoruso with the free kick from long range, saved by Robert Douglas. Amoruso high to win the header, but not fairly, according to the referee. Free kick given in the favour of Willie Faulkner, quickly taken. Boyack stumbled at the key moment. Alberts to Ferguson. Now Kanchelskis. Alberts has made a run on the far post. Now it's Arthur Newman. Wallace tried to get there, Barney Smith did. Newman forces the throw off Boyack, right down to the corner flag. 2.5 minutes of stoppage time played. It's Michael Moles, good effort. Well stopped by Douglas. Again, so quick, so sharp. And the shot was certainly troublesome for Douglas. That's half-time, and Stuart Dougal is being booed by just about everyone in the ground, having shown 2 red cards right at the end of the half, and you can almost see the steam coming out of the ears of Dick Advocaat. He was bemused and furious that Giovanni van Bronckhorst was red-carded after Lee Wilkie was sent off as well for Dundee. The only goal so far from Andrei Kanchelskis. This was it after 29 minutes. Then all hell let loose as Lee Wilkie ploughed into the tackles. He was red-carded, but amazingly, so too was Giovanni van Bronckhorst. As the first half draws to a close, and it's Dundee 0, Rangers 1. Dundee get the match restarted, and it's 10 players aside. Dundee switched by the looks of it to a flat back 4 now. Van Ice forward towards Grady, first half sub. Barry Ferguson for Michael Moles. Amoruso to Alberts. That's for Arthur Newman. Gray to Boyack. Two outstanding players in the Dundee midfield. Ferguson has been very impressive for Rangers thus far. Important news for Craig Brown. Charbonnier chased by Grady. Grady got a touch. Now Willie Faulkner. It's the side netting. That was almost a disastrous moment for Lionel Charbonnier as James Grady moved in. There was plenty of time here for the Frenchman to clear, but he waited and waited. There was Grady to get the touch, and Faulkner with the chance to level the game. Boyack's pass cut out by Amoruso. That's for Kanchelskis. Only Moll's up ahead of him at the moment. Blue shirts warming around. Moles for Wallace. Good skills from Rod Wallace. The shot too high, but it was clever play here to work the opening after he was set up by the deflection of Tweed. Looked to go onto his right foot, then onto his left. Then he committed Barry Smith into the challenge, and he was just leaning back slightly as he powered in the shot. Amoruso's header clear. Madison to Boyack. Gray with Van Eyck alongside. Signed from Dutch football, he used to play with Mechelen in Belgium. Now the former Rangers player Boyack. It's for Willie Faulkner's header. James Grady had a crack at it, flapped away by Charbonnier. And McSkimming scores for Dundee. Again, Lionel Charbonnier less than impressive. And McSkimming equalises with 11 minutes gone in the second half. The cross from Boyack, headed back in by Faulkner. Now that should surely have been got clear by the goalkeeper. And what a good finish that was from Sean McSkimming. Charbonnier, unimpressive, he flapped at it instead of punching it clear of the penalty box. But what a pinpoint finish that was from McSkimming. There wasn't too much to aim at, but he found the gap. 1-1. Good turn from Moles, finds Vidmar. He lost the ball, gets it back now. Links with Porini. Cross charged down by Madison. Now Sergio Porini lines up for the long throw. Michael Moles. What a good effort that was. Inches away from Rangers' second goal. And again, it's the quick control and the turn. And few defenders could cope with that. That's for Alberts, finds its way over the head of Stephen Boyack. That's for Moles. Still it's Michael Moles. Ferguson to Vidmar. Tony Vidmar again. And that one clatters into the floodlights. Maybe they should have consulted one another this morning before they went out. Clashing horribly. Grady's layoff. Willie Faulkner has a chance, and Willie Faulkner has taken it. Faulkner's 7th goal of the season, and Dundee have turned it round from 1 down. They now lead by 2-1. It was Faulkner's flick which started it all, Grady's layoff, and there was Faulkner again to beat the out-rushing Charbonnier, and his shot was clipped in off the inside of the post. The final ball played by Gavin Ray. Faulkner was away from Perini, and it was a clinical finish from Faulkner. 4 goals last season, already 7 this time round. Dundee lead by 2-1. Ferguson from Moles. Vidmar cuts in. Tony Vidmar, a good effort. Well read and well held by Robert Douglas from just the sort of position in which Vidmar scored against Parma. Foul going against Craig Moore. Challenge on Willie Faulkner, and a yellow card for Moore. And the indication of Stuart Dougal there was that that was for persistent fouling, not just for that one. And Michael Knowles has obviously had something to say as well, because he too is shown a yellow card. These would be 3 priceless points for Jockey Scots Dundee. If his team can hold on, he's waving them forward. They're playing too far back. And the game rages towards the other end, and from Boyack to Grady, chance for Willie Faulkner. Lost his footing as he tried to set up the shot. Otherwise, there's a real chance there for Faulkner to stretch Dundee's lead. Alberts finds Moles, and Rod Wallace! The birthday boy gets the equaliser. It's 2-2 with 10 minutes left, and there's relief among the Rangers supporters and relief among the Rangers players. First Amoruso to Alberts. Then on the outside it was Moles who squared it. And what a good finish that was from Wallace. So typical. Rangers top scorer last season with 27. Only 4 this time around, although he's been out for a few matches with injury. But that is like the Rod Wallace of old. Alberts to Amato. Trying to forage his way into the box. Alberts still has it. Alberts, ooh, just too high. It was dipping, and it was well struck, and it was just a foot or so too high. Alberts seeing Tony Vidmar in a fair bit of space. Amato against Smith. Deflected back to Vidmar. And the shot from Vidmar deflected as well. Corner kick. In from Alberts. And it's Gabriel Amato. A delicate near-post header, and Rangers are back in front. Even Dick Advocat joins in the celebrations on the touchline. That looks like being the goal which maintains Rangers' 100% record, and look how much it means to the manager. Devastating delivery on the corner kick from Alberts, powerfully struck it. All it needed was a touch, and it got it from Amato. 3 minutes of stoppage time now played, and there goes the final whistle. The huge roar is from the Rangers supporters. Dick Advocaat is absolutely delighted. Rangers keep up their 100% record in the Scottish Premier League. The clenched fists from the manager. Gabriel Amato was the match winner, heading in from George Albert's corner kick. And that completed the recovery after Rangers had looked as if they might lose all 3 points here this afternoon. They were 2-1 down. The equaliser from Rod Wallace, and then Amato with the winner. Rangers played 8, won 8, and the Ibrox bandwagon rolls on. The final score, Dundee 2, Rangers 3.
A match filled with emotion from both sides, and for our point of view, an excellent result. I think the way we played the first half was from good quality, passing game, and it was quite difficult to find the goal because there's so many players behind the ball to find the space, but we keep patience, and to my opinion it was more a matter of when we scored the second goal. Instead of that, Dundee came back with 2 goals in 2 minutes. And that changed the game, and from that moment on, I think we came back in the game, played a little bit sharper than the first 10 minutes in the second half, and then we made some changes, and I think a well-deserved win.
Disappointed that we lost the game. I mean, they're a quality side, and we worked very hard, and when we got in front and they missed a couple of chances, I thought that we might get away with a victory, but unfortunately not.
How important was the double sending off? How did that affect the way Dundee played?
I think it affected both teams. I think it affected the way the game went. But, I mean, we obviously have got our own opinion whether we thought it was a sending off or not. But
you obviously think not.
Obviously. I mean, the young boys went into a challenge. The referee's blowing the whistle, but in the time that he's blowing the whistle, the youngins got up and went into another challenge. And we don't know what he's been sent off for.
Do you think it was more over-enthusiastic than malicious?
Oh, aye. I mean, he's not a dirty player, and it was two challenges he went into, and I think he won the ball.
And yet, down to 10 men, it looked as if Dundee were going to get the points.
Well, as I say, we got ourselves into a position. I mean, they've had a lot of chances in the game. You know, we've not got to forget that. But we got ourselves into a position that we're in the lead. Then, unfortunately, the last 10 minutes, we blow it again.
8 wins out of 8 for Rangers, and that's the best start to a season in the top flight in Scotland for 33 years. That's remarkable, Gordon, but the big talking point, and we have to spend some time looking at it, was the double sending off. A very controversial incident, and so many talking points contained within the incident, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, the referee obviously gets one look at it. I've had about 35 looks at it tonight, and I'm still not quite sure. Wilkie goes into 2 strong challenges and wins it, and then he follows through with the third. There was a clear whistle before his third challenge, but you can see there that, I mean, there's all the brawl.
Yeah, James Grady and Arthur Newman both getting involved, perhaps Newman to a much lesser extent, and the ramifications of that were to follow in
yes.
the melee.
You watch it, he wins a strong challenge, and then he goes flying in with his foot there. I think he kicks across him. I think that he's having a little bit of a late challenge there. He knows Van Bronckhorst kicks out at him, but in frustration more than anything else. And I think that here's a tackle again.
Will Jockey Scott change his mind having seen this tonight, do you think?
I think he might have. I think he might. I think he thinks that, you know, to me it looks more than just going in to win the ball, the third challenge, to be honest with you. Van Bronckhorst is already picking the ball up to take the set piece. But he is a young player. He's not a dirty player. I've seen him 2 or 3 times. He's not at all. He's an excellent young player. But he goes through with the challenge there, and I think that the referee, having seen it first time, decides to send him off. Van Bronckhorst, I feel, is unlucky. He's lying there in pain, and he pushes Wilkie off him with his feet that are up, that are almost like leaning against him. And I think that, you know, having sent one player off, he probably just feels like, you know, kicking out like that as the second one. Then Newman got a booking as well. I didn't see what that was for. To me, Newman just pulled James Grady out the way because James Grady was having a go, and we know for a fact that James Grady got a booking as well.
I mean, so often the peacemaker seems to get dragged into it as well. Dick Advocaat clearly very unhappy. Overall, how do you think that Stuart Dougal handled that situation?
I think he handled it reasonably, but I think Dundee will feel aggrieved about it because they just see the young player going into the challenges and they think, you know, he's just going in with enthusiasm to try and win the ball. But, you know, as I say, the third challenge was a bit reckless. He won the first 2 fairly, but he trails his leg across the challenge rather than put his leg into to block the ball. He swings through it, so even if Van Bronckhorst flicks the ball away and is not trying to pick the ball up, it might have been a bad foul to start with. And that might have wanted a yellow card, but I think having seen the situation and the whistle already having gone, I think that the referee just assumes he was going to have a kick at the player regardless of what the situation was.
Now, Michael Moles was booked during the game. There were unconfirmed reports that he had the equivalent of a second booking after the game and therefore a sending off. We have established tonight that that was not the case, so there won't be further disciplinary problems for Rangers regarding Moles. Let's talk about the goals themselves and Rangers getting in front. And George Albert's the man of the week. He was heavily involved in all three. We can look first of all at his contribution to this first goal.
It was a different game at this stage. Albert's, I thought, was superb throughout again today. He and Barry Ferguson, who also had a very good game, teamed up well. That's a great pass. Early ball, Chelsea's been a good run off his side. Robert Douglas won't be happy with his contribution there because, you know, it's not a particularly hard shot, but that's what happens a lot. The goalkeepers get caught. They're thinking a shot's going to go to either side. They're setting themselves. They're planted their feet, and the ball through the legs beats them. But I think that that was a terrific goal. Dundee were just sitting in at that stage. It was almost like they were playing at Ibrox. Rangers were totally on top. They were creating one or two chances, not many, but they had loads of possession, and that put Rangers in front, and then the odd and off changed things. In the second half, Dundee were a bit more positive.
Yeah, you wondered whether they would have plan B. Lionel Charbonnier helped them into plan B there, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't do well at all, but it was Willie Faulkner who was a danger at the back post today, nodded it back across goal. James Grady, I mean, this is I think this is the second goal. Look at this. This is a good move here. Love a little ball from Grady. Ray just plays him in there, and it's a very, very good finish from a tight angle. They were good goals, and Dundee, you have to say, fought back well at that stage. I mean, you're thinking they're goal down. There was 10 men apiece. They'd lost a defender. Rangers had lost Van Bronckhorst, two vital players, but it had evened it out. But then Dundee coming back and did really well to fight back and get themselves in front. Inevitably, Rangers' onslaught comes from that. Dundee ahead and struggling to hang on to it. And they put Dundee under a lot of pressure in the closing stages to get those goals, didn't they? Well, they did throughout most of the game. I mean, to be fair, Rangers were always on top in the game, and Rangers were always a better side. But you're just thinking, you know, have they got the fighting spirit to come back? And they did have that. I mean, a lot of Manchester United. It's not a great ball from Michael Moles, but I think the shocking marking from Dundee's point of view. I mean, that's one that should be cleared. Here's another one that probably they'll be so disappointed. Robert Douglas is coming there, and it's a difficult one for him to get, to be fair, because it's swung in at that near post. But, you know, Amato, not the tallest of players, good in the air, though, gets his header in there, and the game's lost at that stage. So you think that, you know, Dundee, having got themselves back in the game, lost two bad goals from their point of view. But Rangers deserved to win the game because they were always on top. They were the more positive side. I know people might say, well, Dundee, you know, how can they be positive against Rangers? But they are at home, and I think there's a bit of an onus on them to go and attack. They didn't do that today, but in the second half, it was 10 men apiece. At least they started to push more players forward. They got their reward by getting in front, but they just couldn't keep Rangers out. Rangers kept, I would say, just kept plugging away, basically, and they wore Dundee down in the end. Now,
there's one other incident that you want to have a look at, and you feel it's something that's been creeping into the game throughout this season, in the early part of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to highlight this factor today because it involves Michael Moles. But here's a situation here with Rod Wallace. It's a bad challenge on him, Sean McSkimmon. He's late. The ball goes through. Robert Douglas comes and picks it up. And what he does here, look, he looks and sees that Rod Wallace is injured, and he kicks the ball out so the Rangers man can get some treatment. So what happens from there is that obviously Rangers should be giving the ball back. After Rod Wallace gets some treatment there, Rangers should obviously just knock the ball back to the keeper. Look at this, they take the throw in, Vidmar throws it, Moles knocks it out for a throw in. So then you can see here Moles is there, and obviously George Alberts pushes up as well. Rangers have forced Dundee back into a situation where they can win the ball back and go and win the game. I think that was at 1 each at the time. Now, I think it's bad sportsmanship, to be honest with you, because what you're finding now, and it's happening not just, I'm highlighting this one, but it's happened in other games, that if a team knocks the ball out so that another team's player can get treatment, they should get that ball back in a position where they then can knock it out. It's not going to be any harm to Rangers if the ball eventually goes back to Robert Douglas, but Michael Moles knocking that ball out for a throw-in, I think goes against the spirit of the rule. Have we got a rule here that's fair play, or have we not?
Well, I mean, there isn't a law. There isn't a law, is it? It's an unwritten rule that the players have been following. So what's the way around it? How do you resolve this?
Well, if it's not going to be resolved by the players doing it themselves, the referees might have to come in and do it. But I just think that that's bad, that the players cannot just give the ball back. It should be up to the players to do it.